All right, Reggie. We've got a lot of people. I think this may be the most anticipated response of questions that we've had in a little bit. So, is there anything you want to talk on before I get into questions? Because you know I got a lot of questions this time to ask for sure.
Well, first of all, I want you to put up the little giveaways we're gonna do before each for a couple of shows, about 6 or 7 shows. We got some
Okay.
merchandise I just want you to show, and we're gonna decide which day. I think we got a skateboard board, some hoodies, and some T-shirts for Tupac on a new merchandise deal that the state just did. Uh, and we got some of that exclusive material right quick, and we're just going to let a couple of listeners get maybe one a show or something like that. We'll think of a trivia question we'll throw out during each segment, each show, and then whenever we throw out a trivia question, the first person that answer the trivia question that we see in the board, we'll mail it to you. You can mail it send us the address to bombfirst@hotmail.com. And when I tell you, or John tell you in the comment section, you're the first one to answer it correct, then be expecting something coming in the mail to you.
Okay. So obviously the first one is Daz did a interview on YouTube where he again repeated the same thing that he said to Vlad and a couple other interviews where he claims that he body slammed you and Suge Knight, and this was in 1996 and 1997, and
Did
I
we
don't
put
know
a
if you
restraining
saw it,
order
but
against him this time too? I think he also said we put a restraining order against him. Did we do that as well?
I think so. I don't know. I'm not
He
sure.
didn't say. He didn't say that. All right. Go ahead, John. He ain't say that. I'm being funny.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. But no. My question was, did you see the YouTube video of him? And if so, what is your response to the fact that he continues to say that he wrestled you or body slammed you and Suge, yet he continues to say the same thing?
That's funny. Daz is still mad. Daz, I thought your homeboy Kurupt and Nate Dogg and Snoop did a song that said it ain't fun if the homies can't have none. You still mad behind that, Daz? Is that why you going around there laughing, lying, and telling your little stories? But you know what? That's what people start doing when they say stuff. They help you out and don't even realize they're helping you. Because in that interview, he accused me of stealing, which he better be careful, because that's some major accusations. And if he ever gets some money, he can be real liable. And I got 2 years to wait and see if he gets some money, because I know he broke, even though he tried to say he got $100 million. That boy funny. But y'all got to remember, Daz was a Sherm head. Daz was on Sherm majorly. And so that's why he says that stuff being funny. But Daz accused me of stealing because of something I've been telling y'all for the longest that I did. I've been telling y'all. I done told y'all on Cal Capone show, on Art show, on Vlad show. I talk about it every time on Bar First that I own a company called Simon Says Music Publishing. I bought music publishing from a lot of those guys. Now he trying to say that I forged his name. Okay, Daz. Well, you know, it's people that was involved, like Jeff Lowry, who's run Disney legal department now. That ain't gonna come to court and lie for you. That did the paperwork for me. You know your boy Bruce Colbriner, your accountant and business manager. He not gonna lie for you, Dad, saying all that. You know I gave you a check for $75,000 to buy up your royalties for everything, and that's why you changed your music company from Amani's. And I bought all of that stuff and put it under Simon Says. And you went and created a new company for all your new stuff, which you had every right to do. But the good thing that you said and you not realizing, and I know Snoop and his attorneys are over there going crazy, is what? You acknowledged they got the paperwork, dog, by saying Snoop called you in and asked you, what's up with this? Now, okay, you're going to try to say I forged your name on it, But then that means a whole bunch of other people going to have to come and say that as well, that I did buyouts with Simon Says. But I thank you and the groupie for acknowledging that they got the paperwork. Like I told y'all, that's all I've been waiting. I've just been waiting, sitting back. I haven't collected one penny, so how can you steal something when you haven't collected any money? But I'm glad to know that y'all got the paperwork over there and that it's going to get investigated. And so now all I got to do, I ain't got to sue y'all now. I just send over the paperwork and say, hey, this is Reginald Wright, the junior, the owner of Simon Says Music Publishing. Send my money and my check to this address. So thanks for you and the groupie over there exposing that Snoop got the paperwork, and that's why you say y'all pulled the music off a line is because y'all didn't want to pay me my publishing money, and Alan from E1 was in on it as well, which we all know ain't true or anything, but thank you, Daz. Thank you, groupie, because now we got a timestamp of you acknowledging that Snoop knows about it, you knows about it, which you still trying to say that forgery stuff, but how you going to say, did you forge that $75,000 check that you put in there? Did I forge that and force it down your checking account? Yes. Did I do that, dog? But anyway, Daz, be careful with what you say, man, trying to be funny, because you're messing up stuff for your people. Groupie, that's one thing that you did right. So I thank you as well. And you know what, groupie? I'll say something. I had some stuff I was going to expose on you about your bankruptcy in 2018. You know about that. And your arrest and all of that. But you said something today on your interview, on one of your interviews, and said, I ain't going to tap at Reggie. I'm just going to shoot facts because of his condition in the wheelchair and all that. I don't get down on that. And I had to respect that. And so until you start slinging mud personally, I'm going to hold all of that stuff and I'm going to hold all that back until I feel like you're attacking me personally. Because like I always said, you're just throwing out opinions that are not supportive. I know you was trying to lead Daz, but Daz was like, oh no, Reggie ran Death Row. He ran the day-to-day operations, and you kept trying to get him to say otherwise. But Daz was like, no, he did. But he was stealing. You know, that was his comeback, which he ever gets some money, he better be able to prove those words because I got my lawsuit going now for the, for getting messed up in the halfway house. And that's going very well. But my second thing was going to be Simon Says, but it looked like you're already investigating that, according to you and your statement. So it looked like I don't have to do nothing but sit back for that. And then, so you better be careful because I might have some free time to do some lawsuits for making false accusations because you got to remember, Death Row went through a bankruptcy. And those trustees and receivers hated Reggie Wright, Suge Knight, and anybody associated with it. And if they would have found anything stolen or taken inappropriate, they wanted my $2 million house. They would have got it before the government went after it. And so, be careful, Daz. That's all I'm going to say. Got anything else, John?
Yeah, after he had the failed attempt to try to get Daz to say that you didn't run the company, even though you did, he said a couple more things. But before we get into that, I just want to talk about, he always says I'm gullible and I just fall for everything that you say or believe everything you say. I don't think he understands the history. So I'm going to give him a little history lesson real quick. When I started working for you guys in 1998, I wasn't hired by you. I was offered the job from somebody named Cedric. Once I accepted the offer, he then told me, all right, I got to get Reggie to sign off on this. I'll let you know. So for him to say that I'm gullible, I'm not gullible. I was there for 5 years. I remember everything having to go through you. And truth be told, I never talked to you hardly much at all during the death row time until after death row because I just did the website stuff. It's not like you deal with the lower level stuff. So for people to say, "Oh, John's gullible because he believes," yeah, I believe it because I was there and I saw it and I witnessed it
And they
and I
all know
seen the
it.
stamp. Yeah,
They
but
all know. We done
yeah,
had plenty of interviews with people where they, Miss Chalet was on paper as that was supposedly his wife while he was in prison. And she was on paperwork as and stuff, but she didn't deal with nobody. She did for about 2 months, her and Norris, prior to me coming on. They were dealing with people, but it got overwhelming. Suge was furious because Suge was locked down in Delano. But once he got out and was able to get visits in the prison, he was like, oh no, send Reggie. Where Reggie at? He sent me a letter. Reggie, where you at, dog? Why you? They ain't saying you ain't around. What's going on? Come and see me. That's May, June. Go up there and see, Reg, me and you about to run this shit. We about to do this. Okay. Reg in charge from that time on. Norris, the brother-in-law, got fired. The sister was reassigned to home duty. Michelet was told to go work on home jury or whatever. All I need you to do is watch my money and stamp my checks that Reg bring to you. David Kenner, come see me every Tuesday. Reg, you need anything? You need any contracts or anything signed? You send them by David on Tuesdays. Me and you running this, Reg. But the groupie don't understand that because he just read and he wasn't around. He always called himself a platinum artist, John.
yeah.
Let's explain this to the people. How he claims, and the number one, no plaques he bought. If y'all zoom in on him real quick on your computer, y'all see it ain't no RIA sticker on there. He's buying those plaques, y'all. You don't give out, a record company, Tupac and State don't give out no gold plaques and then a platinum plaque. Show us anybody else that have any one of those plaques that worked on any of those albums. Show us one person. I'll wait. That has that same identical plaque. But John, I'm out of wind. I'm tired. This dude he frustrates me and pisses me off because he's such a groupie. And people over there that just want to hate on death row and Reggie want to go over there and blowing his head up. But would you explain to people why he calls himself a platinum artist? I'll start it off by saying Holly got a song, or allegedly saying he has a song where he sung on the hook because he ain't never sold no songs on his own. So why Tupac would let him get on a song with him originally, I don't know why. Probably because he was around there and, Holly Swain. And he probably was one of the homeboys that just had got out of jail that was running around with Thug Life in them back then, but I'll leave that part alone. But, John, tell them what happened.
Okay. So the song in question is a song called One Day at a Time. He claims that he co-wrote the song. I don't know if he says he had a verse on it, if he says he did a hook on it. I don't know what he claims.
But go ahead.
The song had leaked years ago with it's one Tupac verse. So it's a Tupac verse, and then it was a Spice One verse, and then some singers, and it wasn't him on this version that leaked years and years and years ago. The next thing we know, the song comes out on the Resurrection soundtrack with everybody stripped off the song except for Tupac's verse, and then they added in the Outlaws, and Eminem produced the beat. The song has leaked in its what was claimed to be the original form, but I've never heard him on it.
Nobody
I'm not
has.
saying he didn't do it, but no one's heard him on it other
This is
than
his
some
claim.
remixes that he put on SoundCloud. Yeah, so that's the song.
This is why he's a platinum songwriter.
Well, that's the thing. He tries to be very careful in the way he words it. So what he says is he's a platinum selling songwriter and recording artist. So what happens, and you can speak to this better than me, is the Tupac estate, they give credit to anybody who wrote. So if they took an original song and took Kurupt off and took, Val Young off and put totally different people on there, if you look at the credits on the album, they give writers credits to everybody
I'll
involved.
tell y'all
Whether it's the remix.
perfect example. All About You. I took Snoop verse off and put Top Dog on it. Snoop Dogg still got the writer's credit and got the credit for it, even though on the radio version and on the video, Top Dog was on it. A song that Hutch did with SKG. I put her on that verse. She didn't get any credit for it, writer credits or credits on the album. She got it as far as performance, but not as a writer credit. But guess who got the credit? The person that was originally on it, which I believe was Storm.
Storm, yep.
That was originally on it. And so that's why he's claiming to be a platinum writing artist, which that don't make you a platinum writing artist. They don't use the verses that you write, and you're not on it. Don't make you a platinum artist. And sure ain't gonna get you a plat mailed to you by the estate. So stop it, boy. Stop it, groupie. Stop it. What was some of the other stuff that he went into, John? Because it was so
one
much.
thing that Dad spoke about was he tried to say that, yeah, when Reggie was running death row up there, he thought he was Suge Knight. He was even wearing red suits around there. I've never seen a photo of you with a red suit.
Sure.
And I've never seen you with a red suit.
Exactly, but that's Daz. Daz was a Sherman. Oh, this is the perfect thing that he said. That Tupac told him personally that I got fired. That I fired right away.
Yeah.
Okay, allegedly, which I got security all around. I wish I got fired, to be honest. But August the 27th, I got security around Tupac on several occasions. Even Mutal verifies that. But Daz said he told him. Daz. See, that's when people start talking and just start agreeing. You forget your lies? Daz, were you in New York? No. Daz, were you in Vegas? No. Daz, do you forget where you and Kurupt was? Y'all wasn't getting fucked with around the end of August and September. Kurupt was in Philly, which he lined over there on Vlad, but I said I ain't gonna talk about Kurupt no more. But I hate that he trying to throw out that that's the reason why he became an alcoholic, because Tupac turned him on to Hennessy. No, Kurupt, no, Kurupt. He was on Hennessy way before that. He was drinking bottles of Hennessy at 9 a.m, Kurupt. Stop it, y'all, with these lies, because I'm going to expose them. Dash, you and Kurupt wasn't around after that show that I think you were there. I don't even know if you was at the House of Blues, but you might have been. You probably was at the House of Blues. But after that, you were gone. You were sitting back to you went back to Louisiana or Mississippi. That's why you wasn't in the car. That's why you wasn't at the MTV Music Awards with us. Come on, Daz. But when he told you, so you didn't even know the time, but you just agreeing because that man leading you in the sand stuff, and you just over there lying, Daz. Me and you bigger than that, Daz. We do have good history together. I told you, I apologize to you for putting out that you were sharing your wife. But other than that, stop lying on me, Daz. You body slammed me. You body slammed Suge. We went and got restraining orders against you. Nigga, you a clown. Nigga, you know the real get down, Daz. Don't you remember, Daz? Your police report when you saw us? Why you didn't body slam me then, nigga? When you went running to the police. Where's that police report? What did he say in that police report, John? Post it up so niggas can see it. So his homeboys can see it. They got guns. We ran over straight to the police where we knew y'all was at. These your statement, Daz. Stop trying to be funny, homie, on the expense of Reggie Wright. Reggie Wright name is too big for a little sherm head buster ass nigga like you to be speaking on negatively. I could take it from little punks in the comments because they don't know me. But niggas that know me, nigga, you know me, Daz. You know the real homie. Stop it.
Yep. And I think anybody that's followed Daz since 2000, 2001, they know that he just lies. They know he lies. He's been doing it for years. But just to get to one more of his lies before we wrap, he accused E1 of paying Suge Knight under the table the whole time since they've had the catalog. Do you think that's true?
I got paid.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, at the BET Awards, Puffy was given a Lifetime Achievement Award. What are your thoughts about him receiving that award?
Whoa. Before Suge Knight? Should he have? Come on, let's count the music. Let's count the album. Now, if we're talking about overall businessman, being a black entrepreneur, Puffy beat Suge Knight out because of what he did with the clothing line and the liquor, the Ciroc. We counting that? Yeah. I'll give it to Puff. We talking about music, the straight being music? He shouldn't have got it before Suge Knight. Y'all say, well, Suge in jail. Suge did this. He was stealing, beating people. There's no proof, no evidence of Suge. Even Daz in his interview say, oh, we was getting paid well. Suge took care of it. He paid. I always said we messed up by not death row. Y'all don't like when I say we, even though y'all don't know how much I helped with death row towards the end. But anyway, but if we're gonna count music sales, no way should he been getting it before Suge. Y'all gotta remember, this is a man connected to a murder. This is a man that was on trial before, and Shine did 12 years for him, and J-Lo. He should have been in jail too, as well. So if y'all want to compare that to, that's why Suge didn't get one and he shouldn't get one, then okay. But, I think Suge deserved one, and his run in the music and selling music was a lot longer than Bad Boy Records. I don't know if Dre got one. Dr. Dre got one. I'm pretty sure he has. But if he hasn't got one, that's a travesty as well. Because Dre should have got one. Snoop Dogg should have one. Suge Knight. Puffy, if we just talking music. But that's my question. Okay, now that y'all gave Puffy one, y'all gonna give Suge one next year? He can accept one from jail. he can accept one somehow. If he was dead, y'all give him to people that's dead. So y'all can still give him one. BT need to just think about that if it's just about music. I don't know if it's because of your overall success or music only, but has anybody had a better 10 years than Suge Knight other than Dr. Dre? Jay-Z probably now, but I wouldn't say no Jay Prince. I wouldn't say no Irv Gotti. What other black guy that y'all want to say?
Master P, but he only had a couple of years as a high run in his label with No Limit.
Who? Oh, Master P. Master P changed the game, though. And so, y'all know I like Master P, even though I call country jokes and stuff like that. But, yeah, Master P is another good one. Baby and Lil Wayne and them. So I'm just saying, Russell Simmons, I'm sure he got one by now. But y'all don't know. That was Leo Corn's show. Russell was just a front man. Leo ran that, him and Kevin Lyles. So, but yeah, Puffy did a great thing. Puffy did something nice at the BET Awards. I don't like how Faith came out there looking, and we ain't gonna talk about how somebody came out looking. Because I know Lil Kim saying the reason why she so addicted to plastic surgeries is because of domestic violence. So I don't want to get into that too much or her domestic abuse that she take. But man, she looked like a blow up doll. She looked bad. Lil Kim, somebody need to get her some therapy quickly. Because she's trying to look like a Jackson and she messing herself up. But but yeah, I can't hate on Puff. I just got to say, we got to remember what he did when we want to compare it to Suge Knight and what Suge Knight did, which showing, and we get into a little later, if Suge might have took that case to court, he might have got a fighting chance. We know what the jury civilly said, but we'll get into that later. Yeah.
What do you think about, because he brought Shine back out, do you think it's odd that people accepted Shine when he sounded like Biggie, but they didn't accept artists like Top Dog or The Realest who sounded like other artists?
Yeah, that's unfortunate, huh? How the community or they took Shine, who's was a Biggie sounded like, but they hated on Pop. Well, not Pop. On The Realest for sounding like Pop, and Top Dog for sounding like Snoop. But you got to remember, it was just everybody was hating on Death Row. It wasn't about those particular artists. It was just a hate on Death Row because, like I said, I'll keep saying it. People didn't know. We didn't put it out there publicly enough that it was all good with the estate of Feeney, Suge, Death Row. And that was a lack of being knowledgeable, PR savvy enough to market that correctly. And we dropped the ball there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I always thought that was one of the main things was people thinking that Tupac was done wrong, and then people getting the misconception that all the artists were leaving. So instead of knowing that you guys kind of offloaded a couple artists like Nate Dogg and Snoop, the public perceived it as everybody was abandoning ship. So therefore, Death Row is a failing entity. It's not doing good. It was just a misconception the way I feel like the public judged it.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because I heard Rage do an interview recently and said that she felt that her album was mishandled and misdropped. Rage mishandled and dropped her own career because she couldn't write. She couldn't write, and she didn't allow anyone to get in the studio and write for her. And right after Afro Puff, because she was set up tremendously to come out after that. But she had a hard time writing, and she wanted to write stuff herself. But that was happening with Rage. Dad stuck around, even though he tried to claim he stole all the reels. We was out of Can-Am. So what studio was he at with all these reels sitting there? This show you how that Sherm had to set up and be lying. Where he had access to half the studio. Okay, Daz, why was I able to put out a Dog Pound 2002 album with Red Paws on it if you stole and took all your music back? Why was I able to put out a Dead Man Walking album on Snoop in 2001? Huh? Who stole why you didn't steal that music, Daz? Stop lying, Daz. You ain't stole nothing. You done put out everything you had and that you had access to. And that was all the stuff pretty much found off the internet. You ain't stole nothing. Everything was stored at the Pacific Archives. All I allowed Daz to get access to were 1 or 2 reels at a time to work on. We didn't trust Daz like that. We knew what we was dealing with. We didn't trust none of them like that ever. None of them. Nobody. She'll train me very well about how to deal with stuff like that and how the artists were. Dealing with street dudes. You don't trust them with stuff like that. But yeah, you smarter than us. You smarter. Who got us was white boys at Pacific Archives. That's who got us.
Okay. You mentioned earlier, but I want to touch on it on its own. Kurupt is currently doing an interview on YouTube, and he mentioned how he didn't really become a fully alcoholic as far as drinking every day from morning to night until Tupac came and introduced him to Hennessy. You talked a little bit about it earlier, but can you speak on that?
Well, all I can say, honestly, because I don't know how much he was drinking, all I can just say is prior to Pac coming to death row in October of '95, I've observed Kurupt walking around with bottles of Fifths, of Hennessy's at 10 a.m. in the morning, walking around drinking for breakfast a bottle of hen. And so he could have stepped it up to a liter or a bigger bottle. I don't know, so I can't say either way on that. But I'm just saying, Kurupt been drinking Hennessy, and he was drinking that prior to Pac coming to death row. And that's the only thing bad that I got to say about Kurupt. Other than that, Kurupt been keeping it 100 as he always do, speaking positive on death row and should. Nothing bad to say. So, like I said before, not gonna say anything bad to Kurupt. Kurupt was one that left. He went out there to Philadelphia. He got out of his contract by filing bankruptcy, and that's how Kurupt got his contract dismissed by filing BK. I wanted to touch on people leaving. Dr. Dre, we all know how he left. He left and left 50% of his company to death row, his half. Snoop was rights were assigned to Priority Records for $4.5 million and a 5 or 7%, I forget the number, I think it was 5%. I've been saying 7% override on the 3 albums that he had remaining left. Who else was a big artist? Das, we know how that ended up, but Das stuck around until about 99, 2000, until he saw something happened where he left in like 2000, 2001. When I put the thing in the source when me and Big C Style kind of fell out behind the crossing out Nate Dogg and Snoop off the Dog Pound in the magazine in the source where we had the red and blue rag shaking. That happened in 99, 2000, 2001, something like that. But yeah, so that's how that happened. Nate Dogg was sold to Breakaway Records. Our boy David Mystery, who we eventually ended up hiring, running retail for us later on. But Dave Mystery, and I ended up going back working for him after he got back up, working at American Music. Bought Nate Dogg and bought all his rights. And any back pay that was owed or anything for him for $500,000 we got for Nate Dogg and gave them that album. That's pretty much it. Tupac, we continue to distribute and or be label partners with him and Amaru Records until about 4 or 5 albums later. And then the other person, the last was somebody else that were big names. I said Nate.
I know they didn't put out any music, but and I don't think
the
you ever
Outlaws.
spoke on this. How did OFTB leave, or why did OFTB leave? Do you remember? Don't care.
Bye. Even though I ended up start messing with, no, that was the Young Soldiers, Sugar Booger and Big Y. Those were my niggas. I ended up taking them to American Music and doing the album The Takeover. Y'all go listen to The Takeover. Y'all go listen to The Takeover. Y'all gonna love that album with the Relatives. That's all Reggie Wright doing. For those who say, Reggie don't know nothing about the music business. He don't know how to do. Go bump the Relatives, The Takeover. Who put that album together? CJ Mag, Tiny T, the realest, Snoop Dogg, uh, Tupac, B. Brazy, all of them were the relatives that were 6ix9ine when he was hot, Dub C, Head Rush, the producer. Man, come on. Even got a Michael Jackson clearance on that. So, yeah. But Reggie don't know the game. Reggie don't know what he doing. He was just security. Go bump the relative album and come back and say that.
Okay. Speaking on Kurupt, and I don't mean this in a negative way, I'm just curious because a lot of people feel like Kurupt's lyrics at a certain point, he was so good lyrically as far as on The Chronic and on Doggy Style and Murder Was the Case and all that, and then he had a sharp drop off. Do you think the alcohol could have caused something like that? I mean, if you're constantly drunk, it's got to be hard to write, I would imagine. So I wanted to ask you that, and then I wanted to ask you too, in this new interview that he's doing, he does seem healthier as far as I can tell from, I don't know if you can tell, so that's a good thing.
That's a
But
good
just wanted to
thing.
get your thoughts on those.
He said he's alcohol free currently. He said he did stints like that before, so I hope he don't revert back. But he said he hasn't been drinking, so he does look good. But once that kidney and that liver go, I'm sure he on all type of dialysis and treatment. Just ain't speaking it. But I wish Kurupt nothing but the best. Y'all think I don't, but I really do. Kurupt. When you think about Kurupt don't only want to keep it 100 out of all of them. He don't diss nobody. He don't say nothing negative. He just all about Kurupt, speaking this truth. What he believe. We all make mistakes. We all misquoted, misunderstood. And that's all I will ever say about Kurupt. Kurupt had one bad thing in his background, and I think that was alcohol related. Other than that, I can't think of nothing bad about Kurupt.
Okay. Suge, for the civil suit that Terry Carter's family was suing Suge for, that ended in a mistrial. Can you speak a little bit about your reaction when you found out that it was a mistrial, and what, if anything, does this mean for Suge moving forward within the legal system?
Well, unfortunately, that was civil, not criminally. Suge got an appeal going on. I want to shout out my boy V-Dog. V-Dog, good job, man. I heard you really stepped up in the trial and told the truth. And I'll be releasing some audio that V-Dog taped on the whole setup. Got to figure out how we're going to put it out. But where y'all can hear how Bone and all of them, it was pretty much a setup, and even Terry, unfortunately, to get Suge over there so they can do something to Suge. And V-Dog explained that, and he got tapings of that where he got Bone talking about it, that, y'all done heard little pieces of it, 20 minutes, 25, but it's 3 to 4 hours of taping that V-Dog have. And once you listen to that, talk to V-Dog, and hear that, like the jury did, it came back 7-5 in favor to this, against the Terry Carter family. Even though I feel, and I still feel, Suge got some liability. But 9 people on the jury, it only takes people in a civil trial to convict, to have a guilty verdict, 8 or 9, I forget what it is, I think it's 8, civilly, where we know criminally it takes all 12. But they weren't able to even get the 8 or the 9 votes. And I just now wish he wouldn't have had those other 2 cases hanging over his head, because if it was just that one particular case, he would have took it to trial, and I think he would have had a good shot of beating it. I don't know what the grounds for appealing on I never heard of it, being able to appeal a plea agreement unless in your counsel was on drugs or or misappropriated or misstated something, a fact or something like that. I don't think they're going at the effective counsel, but that might be what they're going at. I don't know. It could be the two-strike thing, where he got an extra 10 years just for being a two-strike candidate, that he could have some rights that he's trying to appeal on that. And that take off 10 years. Take off 10 years, that'll get him out in 2024. And so that's worth a shot. But right now he is scheduled for 2034. For those of y'all that believe that or was misinformed that he won and he'd be getting out soon because of that case, it wasn't for the criminal part. It was for the civil part, which they're going to refile, and he have to go through it again, probably one more time. But that show y'all that boy David Kenner is a bad attorney to be able to get him to get the jury to believe that he had no liability on an accident. Even an accident, you have some liability. But he got him to believe it was a setup. And that was a hell of a defense. And unfortunately for the Carter family, because I know he was the breadwinner of their family. And I'm sure the wife, I'm not worried about the daughters because that's what your husband's supposed to be for, unless you're under 17. But definitely the wife, needs somebody to help, when your loved one is taken out unexpectedly like that. Somebody should have to pay, and someone should be liable. But if you believe what they're putting out there, and I'm not saying either way because I don't know, that Terry was a part of the setup with Bone, then okay. I get it, Suge Knight. I get it, brother. I get it.
So with this ending in a mistrial, can the family do it again? Can they sue again?
Only time you can is on acquittals or not guilties or unfounded. I don't know what the term is for civil. But yeah, they can retry it. I think they get a second shot.
Gotcha. Okay. QD3 is working on the documentary about Tupac and his mom with the Hughes brothers. He put out, I don't want to say he put out, but there was an article written where he's talking about the recording sessions of the Machiavelli album on Tupac. And he mentions, he details actually going to Michael Jackson's house and trying to get Michael Jackson to appear on the Thug Nature song that was going to be on the Machiavelli album. Michael Jackson declined it, saying that he was a fan of Biggie and that he didn't want to get in the middle of whatever was going on between Tupac and Biggie. Did you ever hear about this back in the time, or you think that's something that QD3 kind of did on his own? And if so, what was your reaction just when you heard about them having a meeting to get Michael Jackson on a Death Row record?
Well, I'm sure Michael or QD3 told Pac that, hey, I probably, because Michael and QD3 dad, Quincy Jones Sr. or Jr., has a great relationship. So I'm more than positive that he probably told Pac that, hey, I'm going to go and try to get, Michael to perform on the song, through his dad connection. Y'all got to remember, QD3 was only like 16 or 17 at the time. He was young, so he probably didn't know the politics that Michael was up under. Michael don't like black folks. Michael didn't like black people. And so Michael was, you remember, Janet, he made Janet change her number immediately after filming Poetic Justice. They had Pac take an AIDS test, take an HIV test. Michael hated that Janet was being associated and being around Pac like she was, even though she was trying to get her acting career going and being in a movie that was a good urban movie at the time. He didn't like that. He felt that that Janet, shouldn't have did it. Didn't really want Pac being involved. And so that's the real. And so he can blame it on the politics between. I think he ended up doing something with Biggie. And so if he's not trying to get in the middle of it, why you do something with Biggie? Or why you allow him to be on one of the songs? I'm not sure on that, but I could have sworn Michael did something with Biggie, or there's something out there with Biggie and Michael doing some work together. And so I don't believe that was the reason, but I believe it was more so Michael just didn't like the death row atmosphere that was going on in L.A. The Suge, Jewel say Michael was trying to do something with her, or something like that. I know Suge had a great relationship with John McClane. Matter of fact, John McClane is the one that really got them over there in the Interscope doors. That's who Dick Griffey Boy was John McClane. And John McClane is actually one of the guys over the trustees now for Michael Jackson estate. But so there were relationships there if it needed to be made or to be done. But I think that was just a cop out. And QD3 thought he could make it happen. And Michael wasn't going for it and didn't need it and didn't want to be involved in it. But shout out to QD3. He was a good young man doing good things now. I now know why I haven't been contacted on the documentary because QD3 is involved. I thought it was just one of the Huge brothers, which I had a problem with when I expressed to Tom and the Molly that how y'all gonna let somebody do a documentary on Pac that tried to put Pac in jail that went to court on him, and then y'all gonna turn around and have him being involved in doing the documentary. But that's either here or there. And then QD3, he and Suge, I pushed up on QD for some money when he did some stuff with some footage that we had in like 2007, 2008, where we went to his house and he had to give up about $20,000, $30,000 in cash. And so I'm sure he hasn't been happy about that ever since. And but he had stole some footage, him and this guy named Rob Johnson, when they was living over there in Porter Ranch from us. And so I'm sure.
And that's the footage that actually has you in it, right? With you and Danny Boy and Tupac.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So anyway, so that's why QD don't really probably have no love for me, but it's all good. Right is right, wrong is wrong.
Okay. I want to go back to something. You mentioned you thought that it was Michael that made Janet Jackson change her number after Poetic Justice. You think that was the case?
That's what Pac believed. That's what Pac believed.
Okay. Gotcha.
I can only say I wasn't around them then, so I don't know. But that's what Pac always told us privately.
Gotcha. Okay.
He was very disappointed about that. Very.
All right. Going into the next one, the Bloomfield documentary Last Man Standing had a bunch of pictures of Tupac and Suge and some young ladies doing whatever they do. One of these photos too was also in the booklet of Two Gangster for Radio compilation that you oversaw, that you put out at Death Row. Can you tell me what these pictures, what's the story behind these pictures, if any, and if that was a regular thing?
What was going on? A bunch of people about to get mad now, talking about the females. But Suge and Pac had an inside bet going on, where they were trying to see who can get the most females to have their names tatted on them. And that's what that was about. They're showing how Pac and Suge had all these different females running around L.A. or wherever with a picture or their names tatted on their body. And that's a little thing that they had both going on. Yeah.
Okay. And those pictures, I think you mentioned previously, you thought they came from Suge's sister, you think?
Well, I know I gave I know I gave all those pictures to the daddy, who's a very old man now, and the niece. Uh, she calls herself Wild Thing. I'll just say Wild Thing. Has a lot of control over there because Karen, Suge's sister, and them, deal with the dad a lot. And I just think, and she was also in the documentary with the Broomfields. So those particular pictures show up, and she's in the documentary. I just feel that she is the one that turned them over. And once she'll see those pictures and find out about that, he's going to be disappointed. But that's where the pictures came from. That's all.
Okay.
But
Okay. And you had talked about before how when all the death row people went somewhere and Tupac got angry and left the plane tickets on the floor, that there was such a big party that the next weekend, remember that he had to have one. Is it one of these parties? Like were these kind of no? Okay.
not that particular one. I don't know. Those was at the office in the studio at Can-Am, where those pictures was pretty much taken. A lot of those pictures was taken. But the ones in the pool and stuff like that, that was at the Vegas house. If you're seeing the ones that was at the in a pool, in a jacuzzi and all that, that was at the Vegas house. But the one with the red carpet and all of that, that was at Can-Am.
Okay. Okay. And were those parties a normal thing or not really?
Oh, those niggas party. Shit was on house arrest. And guess where he was stationed to be at? We had built a like a little bedroom in the studio. Had a bulletproof glass put in there, so nobody couldn't go by and just shoot it up and get to him because everybody knew where he was sleeping. But Suge was stuck in the studio, I think, for 60 days or something like that. And that's when they were just in there working like crazy. He had to be in by 8 or 9 o'clock and couldn't leave until 8 or 9 the next morning. And so they were just partying all night at the studio. So, on house arrest. He had an ankle bracelet on. Yeah. Matter of fact, when he went to visit Pac in prison, he had an ankle bracelet on. Yeah.
Okay. Suge had spoke one time about an incident with Jay-Z when he came out to California about him getting tied up or something like that. Do you know the specifics behind that, or could you speak on that?
Yeah, well, Suge was in jail, so you know who he got it from. But what was happening, man? It wasn't just happening to Jay-Z. It was happening to Jazzy. Oh. Okay. Yeah. So I know where Suge got that from because he was in prison during the time. But that's how LA was back then. We're talking about late 99, the late 90s, early 2000s, where everybody was walking around with these watches with diamonds on. I remember the dude from Onyx. I mean, they were laying down studios. They were robbing everybody for their, because everybody's walking around $30,000, $40,000 watches, like they're doing now. But they were robbing everybody because everybody had these iced out watches on. And the thing was to go and rob these rappers in all these recording studios. And that's where I started making a lot of money because I had up pretty much all the Enterprise studios, and I had security guards at pretty much every recording studio after they all got robbed and were getting tied up. But Jay-Z got tied up on an elevator. I always say he got a thing about elevators. But he got tied up on an elevator and got robbed. I mean, L.T. Hutton and Chris Webber, I remember them being outside Fatburger. And the basketball player dude. And their car getting shot up in the Mercedes. I remember Jazzy sitting at the Grand Lux at the bottom of the Beverly Center. Dudes just walked up to him, put a gun in his stomach. Give up the watch, bro. Give up that jewelry. And so Shaq, everybody thinks Shaq left here for behind that Kobe and stuff. Shaq got out of there because the main streets was pushing up on him, which he had a lot of them on their side. But this dude Stutterbox, who was Farrakhan's nephew, was out there extorting Shaq like crazy, threatened to put out a tape of him and his wife doing this and doing that. And that's why Shaq really was ready to get out of L.A. It was just wild in the 2000s where everybody was getting robbed and guns and a lot of gunplay in recording studios. At that Fat Burgers across from SLS hotel right now. That's where on Art the Dialogue show, LaShelle and them took y'all to that Fat Burgers and showed y'all a picture of that Fat Burgers. And it was going down there every night. And those dudes, it was wild. Just like it is now. I mean, I swear, the things that's going on right now today in LA with these guys getting robbed for watches and stuff like that, it's nothing new. This was going down major in the late 90s and the early 2000s. So, yeah. But that's what Suge was talking about.
Gotcha. Okay, when we did the video about Left Eye and Suge having a relationship, a couple of people commented and said, "Oh, I don't have as much respect for Left Eye as I did now that I know she got with Suge." You had responded to somebody with a list of people that Suge had got with, and said, "Oh, do you feel less of these people?" So I want to bring up the people. I know, trust me, I'm going to say it first before you say it. People are going to get mad. The females are going to get mad. But I'm just asking the question. You can decide whether you want to answer it or not. I'll put it out that way. Okay. The R&B singer Maya. Did Suge get with her?
He was messing with Maya, but this was later. This was like 2004, 2005, something like that. But yeah, he had a stink with Maya.
Okay. What about Jasmine Guy?
Danny Boy said Jasmine Guy. I think Danny Boy overheard the story about Tupac and Jasmine Guy, and he put it on Suge. But Danny ain't stupid. I didn't see it, but Danny Boy says Jasmine Guy.
Okay. What about Yo-Yo?
Definitely. I was there in Miami, and for a few weeks after the Miami trip at the Super Bowl, and him and Yo-Yo kicked it for a while. And I think Big Jake messed with Yo-Yo's sister, or a girl that was like her sister, a good friend. Remember one of them started messing with one of them. They were hanging out a lot. And that didn't go on for long. It probably went on a month. But y'all got to remember, Yo-Yo had beautiful eyes there. She done picked up a little weight now, but Yo-Yo was a pretty girl back then. I know she messed with Pac too, but some of y'all say they got a secret love child. But I ain't never heard that. And trust me, if Yo-Yo and Pac had a secret love child, Yo-Yo will be running the estate because she's smart enough and wise enough to know to do that. But yeah, I don't believe that. Yo-Yo telling a little bit of lie about Pac shaking the bed and all of that on her story, and tears running down his eyes and all that. Pac was sedated. Pac was wide open. They ain't had it where he can be moving the bed and stuff. But other than that, Yo-Yo was 100 cool chick, like Yo-Yo. But yeah, Yo-Yo and Suge was messing around the Super Bowl weekend in Miami.
Okay. What about Storm?
Storm, the rapper Storm. And I don't get that, but that's just Suge. Because this was a chick that walked around with white sweat socks on and Timberland boots on. And she had long, beautiful hair, though. But yeah, he messed with Storm.
Was this when Tupac was around or after Tupac had passed? Well, I guess it had to be before because he kind of went to jail, right?
Yeah, a little bit after that. Yeah. But he messed with Storm.
Okay.
It was before.
What about Chili?
Chili from Left Eye. Chili from TLC.
TLC.
And Left Eye. So he got the T.
He got 2 of the 3.
He got the C and the L. He just didn't get the T.
Just needs T-Boz. What year was that? Was that after Left Eye or was that before Left Eye?
Who, Chili?
Yeah.
Chili was before. Chili was 94, something like that, 94, 95, when he got with Chili.
Okay.
Left Eye didn't
Okay.
happen until 2001.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last one, Eve from Rough Riders.
Eve, yeah. Eve was, I don't know if she was trying to use Suge or what, but Eve, and I got this later from Stevie J, because I remember we went to Faroots, and he bought a fur coat. One of those, everybody was into those fur coats in the early 2000s. And he gave one to Eve. And we was at the West Hotel, the W Hotel. And I remember Stevie J said, "Yeah, Reg, when I was in there, and she came back, I was in the room, and she gave me that jacket that y'all had just spent $10,000 on her and gave her." And so I don't know if Eve was flaying Suge or what, but yeah, they were hanging out for a minute. And this was like in 2001. Yeah, 2001, 2000. The later part of 2001. And but
Okay.
she was with Stevie J or going back and forth with Stevie J at the time. But yeah, Eve, oh Eve. And don't forget Holly Berry, and don't forget the Holly Berry, and it's a whole bunch y'all should be mad at. Y'all gonna be mad at Left Eye, but Left Eye really was trying to get out of her deal because she was mad with Steve Stouts, and Suge was, hey man, Suge is a charismatic dude. Suge, was good looking, big, and back it up, show you a good time, take you, nice restaurants, staying in nice hotels. I don't see nothing wrong with it. I don't see nothing wrong with it at all. But he always had this 5 or 6 main chicks too. They were always still around. Yeah.
And this is in addition to Michelle A, or in these later 2000s was Michelle A
Yeah,
out
that's
of
all
the
of them.
picture?
Yeah, they still around. They all still around. Every last one of them.
All right. Can you talk about the incident that happened at the 50 Cent video shoot for, you know what? The song is drawing a blank for me. I think it's in the club. Find Me in the Club or whatever. I forget the official title of it, but he had mentioned, and some of the people that were in D12 had mentioned that Suge showed up with a bunch of Mexican dudes and kind of just did like a pop in on him and then left. Were you aware of that? And can you speak on that?
Well, I spoke on this before on Cam Capone's show with my boy Spider Loke. Spider Loke took a little offense. I was just throwing an opinion to say this is why I believe he got his deal, which Spider Loke kind of took offense to. Like, Red, I didn't get my deal because of that, which I understand because Spider Loke was a talent. I still listen to some of his shows just to listen to his new rap song that he do before every song, before every show. And so I get it, but I really know Spider Loke, and I want to get Spider Loke, and we're going to get Spider Loke to tell that story. But it happened. He had the 118 hanging out with him real tough at the time. And they went up there and was kind of pushing up on 50 about something. Who knows? And all the stories about 50 getting a gun and an AK and all that, that ain't true. Spider Loke walked up to him. It was my boy Magic, really, from 87 Trade Gangsters that was there. And some of those, it was a mixture of guys. But Spider Loke got smart. Spider handed the phone to 50. 50 walked away, walked in the trailer like he had an important phone call, and he was handling his business. And that's all that I heard that happened. But y'all go to Spider Loke, and Spider Loke spoke on it, and he talked about it. And I had more, and I talked about it a little more in depth on the Cam Capone show. And that's what happened. But he had some 18th Streets with him, and they were pressing him about something. But Spider Loke came and saved the day and got 50 away. And Spider and 50 was cool for after that whole situation, because they all had respect for Spider Loc. Yeah.
Okay. Um, Simone Green, who was a photographer for Death Row in the somewhat early days, she's gone on numerous documentaries and talked about a story where she was beat up during a meeting, and claims that Suge held her legs down. Kenya Ware, who is super talented, is putting together like a Women of Death Row. I don't know if it's going to be a show or a documentary, but she puts little snippets of it out on her Instagram, which she's got all the girls from back then. So it's going to be really good, I think, when she does finally put it out. But she put up a piece of Simone talking about this incident that she spoke on before. What I wanted to ask you was, had you heard about this incident, and do you have any insight as to what really happened that day?
Well, I didn't see the snippet. I haven't saw that, but I hope you play it so people know what the hell you're talking about. But shout out to Kenya and whatever Kenya's working on. I hope y'all go out and support her, because Kenya Ware is a good girl. That's Dad's baby mama. But other than that, she's a stylist. She's very well respected and liked by everybody around Death Row. I don't hear nobody, y'all hear nobody ever talking bad about Kenya. But yeah, Simone lying, y'all. She trying to put David, Kenner, and Suge into the story because that's where the money is. But what happened was, it was this girl that was working for Death Row at the front desk. Her name was Kim. That's all I'm gonna put out about her. And she was selling weed at the front desk. I had got word about her selling weed up there at the office and told Suge, hey man, that ain't a good look. Your receptionist up there selling marijuana at the front desk. You know, you need to deal with that. Somehow, I guess, Simone, who was a photographer, I think her husband or dude was a bass player, used to play a guitar, was in the industry a little bit as a musician. And Simone's from Detroit. And so she thought she was a little hood and a little tough as well. Because, you know, like I tell y'all, every neighborhood has tough people in it. Just because you from Compton or LA or Long Beach or Houston or wherever, don't make you any tougher than the next person. Every neighborhood got a tough person. So, Suge and one of his female friends that was real close with Kim, Suge was like, man, I don't have to fire Kim because Simone is saying, and he blamed it on, I think Simone, about her selling weed at the front desk, which I told you how Suge really heard about it, but I'm sure Suge knew about it or had heard rumblings of it, but he blamed it on Simone for whatever reason. And the girlfriend of Suge at the time said, man, Kim gonna fuck her up. And she was like, oh, yeah, whatever. That's Simone. She from Detroit. And she was like, shit, I tell you, Kim is a writer. Kim will fuck her up. So Suge called the meeting and had a bunch of girls and had them in there and confronted. That's how Suge was with anything. He believed in having meetings and everybody, if you say something once, you better be able to say it twice. You don't be talking behind nobody's back if you ain't gonna repeat it in front of their face. That's just how Suge and that's how they were around Death Row. And so he confronted Simone about what he had heard that Simone had said. And so Kim was like, what? You said that? And she was like, yeah. And I told y'all this story before. That's when Kim was like, I don't give a fuck, you know. I'm from Detroit. And that's when Kim was like, well, you about to get a Compton ass whooping right now, and started whooping her ass. And so that's what happened on that. Simone trying to add that Suge was holding her feet and all of that. because I think she sued and she trying to, that's how you had to get Suge into the lawsuit by making allegations like that. But Suge ain't had no holding down. Suge was probably laughing because he loved that shit because he was crazy for fighting and bullshit, unfortunately. But you got to remember, he was only 28, 29 years of age. He had all this money and power at the time. And we hadn't developed mentally into the men that we should have tried to be at, age 40 or 50. But that's what happened with Simone. But Kim is the one that put hands on Simone and whooped her ass. And that's what it was behind.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me the story about DJ Quik, his stepbrother, Suge, and Tupac at I don't know if it was Cleveland or New Orleans, but it was on that Easy tribute tour apparently. Can you tell me the rundown of that?
Yeah, what happened that we was in New Orleans doing the concert. And they were bored. I think we had a day off, a day in between the concert from Cleveland to New Orleans. And they were out there. I remember Gonzo and Caution and all of them. They were out there acting crazy, jumping on the back of taxi cabs, riding down the middle of the street, and just out there acting a fool in New Orleans. And so Suge called a meeting in this suite and had all the different artists there and brought everybody that was on the tour in the room. And so they were talking and all this. And so, out of state, when you're a security guard, an armed security guard, you can't be like cops, walk around with your gun concealed and stuff. And so I noticed DJ Quik had a security guard that was his brother-in-law, not his brother, it was his brother-in-law. He had a security jacket on, walking around with a gun exposed on his waist, and I was like, shit, who's this dude? What's up with him? I said, you can't be doing that. You can't be walking around with a gun like that, exposed. Well, he got a license. I said, in California, to be walking around at a post, working like the security guard you see in a bank and grocery stores and stuff like that. But you can't be walking around in Louisiana like that with a gun. Go get us all in trouble. And so Suge was like, hey, what's up with that? Oh, I didn't know he had a gun on him. And Suge was like, man, Quik, you got to discipline him. You got, you can't be, And so that's when Suge was like, somebody got to deal with him. And Quik was like, no. I'll deal with him. I'll discipline him. And that's when Quik was over there hollering and hitting and hitting on this, probably really saving him, to be honest, which I got to respect Quik for that, because I'm sure the brother-in-law would have rather took the ass kicking from Quik than one of Suge's big goons or homies. And so that's all that happened on that. It was an unfortunate situation, but that was this thing. I'll tell you, on a road trip, somebody was always the butt of a joke or or some type of assault. And that's what happened, and he was just the butt of that situation. But Quik really, I don't even think he was really hitting him, but he really saved him. Where Quik probably preferred him putting hands on him than one of the homies or somebody like that putting hands on him. But that's what happened on that situation.
And is it true that in that story, Suge noticed that he wasn't hitting him hard enough and he had the Outlaws do some stuff to him? Somebody mentioned that.
That what
I don't
happened?
know who it was. That once they noticed that Quik wasn't hitting
that's what I said.
the guy, they had other people come in and take care of it.
I think some other did it for a little while, but Quik kind of stood in the middle of it. But they knew Quik wasn't really hitting him. It was all the big act, like hollering and yelling and all of that. But I'm glad Quik did what he did, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it was really uncalled for. It wasn't no need for that to happen. So
Yeah.
Quik saved the day on that.
Yeah, Nate Dogg always said that death row would have been even more successful than it was had Suge not done a lot of the Mafia tactics. Was that part of the Mafia tactics with like, this guy's out of line in your crew, you need to take care of him, and you know what I mean? Is that, do you agree with that statement?
I don't know. I don't know. I think that might have what drew the mystique or the time that we were in, and what made everybody attracted to Death Row and fear Suge so much and all of that. Because I know half the shit that Suge get blamed for, Suge had nothing to do with. Nothing at all. But he'll play into it like he did just because he loved that attention or that mystique. And so I don't know. It's hard to tell. It wouldn't work now, but I think in 95, 94, it worked.
Yeah.
And them all having cases. I think that would work. Would a corporation deal with a company now that has this many cases and stuff like that? I don't think so. But back then, they did. They caught flack for it. But it wasn't like nobody was trying to let them go. Interscope never part ways with them until Suge went to prison. And they, they had a major deal. People don't know that's the real reason why they wanted to get out of that deal that they had. Suge got $20 million a year guaranteed, plus they had to pay for everything that he wanted to do. That was major. I know some of y'all be like, oh, Master P deal was better. It was 80-20. Master P had to pay for everything and still pay. Suge only had to give up an additional 30%. And you pay for everything that I come up with. That's why his videos were so much more. His sets at award shows were so much more and so much more guided than other labels and stuff like that. And the Cash Moneys and all that ended up doing it later when they came out with that helicopter and all of that stuff. But they got all that from Death Row. That was all because of those high budgets. Missy Elliott with those high budget videos and stuff. That all came from because of Death Row. Nobody was spending money like that until Death Row had Interscope spending that type of money. Yeah, go look at a Master P video versus a Death Row video. It's a major difference. It's a major difference. But you do that when you're spending your own money versus spending somebody else's money. So, yeah.
You speak about the mystique and kind of like the allure of everything, that the atmosphere at Death Row and Suge. It brings to mind the sticker, and you might not even remember it, but I'm going to ask you anyway. And if you remember, you remember. If you don't, you don't. After Tupac passed, a promotional sticker came out that the street team would have and all that stuff, and it was a Death Row logo, and it said "Nobody leaves alive." Do you remember that sticker by any chance?
Don't know what the hell you're talking about. But that's the trivia question. First person to answer that wins what, John?
They'll win a Tupac t-shirt. It's summertime, so we'll do a t-shirt first. But what's the question? You gotta tell them the question.
You just asked the question. What was on that sticker?
No, I know what was on the sticker. I was asking what the sticker was for. Okay, so there was this sticker that popped up in like late 96, 97. Because we're talking about the mystique of the label and Suge and everything. But the sticker said "Nobody leaves," and then had a Death Row Records logo in the middle, and then it says "Alive." And I don't know if it was tied to a release or what it was for. Do you remember that sticker? And do you know what it was for?
I remember, but I think it was a little bit before then because we wouldn't have did nothing like that, especially after Tupac had passed away. That would have been stupid. If we did that after Pac died, that's stupid. But it probably was a jab at Dr. Dre in 95, if it was done then. But if it was done in 96, stupid.
Yeah.
I wasn't a part of that. And I wasn't a part of it in
Okay.
97, 98.
Yeah. I think it was 96, 97, but there was also a poster. It, yeah, I think so. I think so. But I don't, like I said, I don't want to assume that it had anything to do with Tupac because I don't know. That's why I was asking you if you knew. But there was also a poster that was, the footage that you filmed of Suge the day he got out of prison and how he flew on the private plane and then went into the office and he was in that meeting room that had the white walls with the posters on it. There's a poster on that wall. I don't know if you remember it, but it had a picture of Tupac from like '92 where he had the overalls and the hat on, and then next to that was a picture of him where he was on the yacht with the death row chain and all the money, and it said from broke, the word I can't say, to made, the word I can't say, made only by Death Row Records.
That was
Executive
a
producer
song we
Suge
were
Knight.
advertising. That was the made nigga song we was advertising. But it was from broke nigga to a made nigga. But that was advertising the made nigga song. But those pictures were done, and they were in Club 662. When Club 662 closed down, is when I pulled those boards down and hung them around the office.
You're talking about the big ones of the artists, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
that was pictures of that. But that was an advertisement for the made nigga song.
Okay, cool. I'm glad to hear that because those posters have been around for a long time and people have always wondered what that was for. So that answers that question. So, um, you mentioned something kind of slick on the last interview, which I should have caught it and I should have responded back to you. But to be honest, um, I don't know if it was getting near the end of the interview. Either way, it was my fault. But you mentioned how we were talking about True That, and you mentioned how the guy who was running it started messing with Suge's, or I'm sorry, not Suge, Snoop's baby mama. That was the Mexican girl, Latina. Can you speak about more about that, about Snoop having this other baby mom? And because I'd always heard the rumors about he messed with one of the Doggy's Angels girls. I'd always heard about that, but I never heard about the other one.
Yeah, this one they keeps real quiet. Her name is Giselle. She actually has 2 kids by Snoop. It's a girl on the internet, if y'all pull up. I don't know nothing about that. That one that claims to have a baby by Snoop. I forget her name. But if you pull it up and put baby mama by Snoop, there's a young lady that pops up. I don't know nothing about that one. But I know Giselle. Damon Thomas knows Giselle. Everybody knows Giselle. And for those that say I'm lying, I'm going to say something real close to you females that know Snoop. Because I know her very well. She had a tattoo right above her panty line of a picture with Snoop smoking a marijuana joint. And that was his trademark for females. She had 2 kids by Snoop.
Okay. And this was back in the Death Row days, or this was later?
This was later. I said the True Dad Entertainment days. And it was after that she had the kids. And so 2008, 2007 when she was hanging around us. And
Okay.
so, but she had messed with Snoop prior to that. That's how I was able to know about the tattoo.
Okay. Um, one thing I wanted to ask you about is I think sometimes, when we do these interviews, we'll mention people and we just assume that people know who they are, but they really don't. So, like, for example, I wanted to ask you when you came into Death Row in 94, 95, whenever it was, can you tell me what Norris Anderson was doing for the label at the time? And then can you talk to me about what he started to do once Suge went to jail, and then ultimately what led him to leave the label? Just to give a little background, a little history on him, because a lot of people, they hear these names, but they don't know who exactly we're talking about.
Norris Anderson was a good dude. He's no longer with us. He died while I was in the hospital fighting COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Norris was Suge's brother-in-law. He was married to Suge's second sister, Karen. That's Wild Thing father, and they have another daughter. Norris was smart, very smart man, in my opinion. But Norris started off as a receptionist. He then eventually got moved into the office to assist Roy as a Suge personal assistant with Roy and handling stuff. Brought in Calvin Tubbs and all that to eventually become the general manager. And this is prior to the fall of Death Row, as y'all call it. What I mean by that is before Pac got killed, Norris probably became the general manager in like April or May of '95. And he was in charge of the general manager, doing things with the office all the way up until I took over in '97. Oh, well, yeah, was it '97? Yeah, until May or June of '97 is when I took over, and Norris was in charge and dealing with everything then. Good dude. That's who, RJ and them like to say who car that was. That's just who had the credit that the car got put into. But that car was in his name that Tupac got shot and killed in. But Norris is a good dude. I like Norris a lot. Learned a lot from Norris about dealing with people and dealing with Suge and the music business while I was just in charge of security and always being with Suge, the person that they would call to get in contact with when they couldn't get in contact with Suge because they knew I generally was with him or had somebody in the area that could get to him. And so, yeah, that was Norris.
Okay. And what made him leave? Was it that you took over his position and he kind of stepped down, or did he get demoted to something lower and then kind of just slowly broke away?
Norris got burnt out. It was a lot on him. There was some things going on in his personal life that had happened where he got disappointed and upset with the family. And he felt like he was doing a lot of work and trying to keep everything alive. And something happened that hurt him to the heart. And he was burnt out. And that's when, by that time, me and Suge was starting back talking. Suge felt it, saw that he lost his motivation. And he didn't initially fire Norris. He just told Norris that, go do this. You go be dealing with this. Me and Reggie gonna be dealing with this. But one day I called him and asked Norris a question. And he said, Reggie's your ball now. You in charge. I'm done.
Gotcha. And he passed away due to COVID when, like you mentioned, when you were fighting COVID.
Yeah, I know he passed. I didn't know what the reason, because I know he had some other conditions. Because Norris was smart. When Greg Kadings and them went to talk to him, Norris was like, hey, I got health issues, and I don't remember nothing. I don't remember nothing from those days. And so I always took it like Norris was ill.